Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, good night, wherever you're watching, wherever you're watching. Good, good day to another episode of Future Journalism Today Live. We have our special guest, Patrick Weinhold from Tagesschau, and our special host, Nadine. Nadine, could you take it away?
Hi, Lawrence. Hope you're doing well. Hi, Patrick. Great to have you.
Hi to you too, and to the rest who's listening, or moin moin, as we say here in Hamburg, the north of Germany.
Because that's where you are, right, in Hamburg?
Yeah, sitting in my home office, as you can probably see. This is not the traditional Tagesschau background here, not the studio. It's just a normal working space here, and for, let's say, half a year, I've been working now from home.
Yeah, half a year.
And that's a challenge you took on probably because of COVID, and I hope everything worked out well for you, for the whole newsroom, actually.
It's a challenging time, I think, for pretty much every newsroom. So we started to have some shifts. We moved them to home office when the pandemic hit Germany. It was in February, March 2020. So this is a lot longer than the last 6 months. But since 6 months, we work 100% in home office, meaning we have 20 shifts producing social media content for the Tagesschau from home. And also our TikTok videos are produced from the living rooms, sleeping rooms of our colleagues. So this is pretty tough, I'd say, for journalists.
Yeah. But don't give everything away yet, Patrick, because Nadine is going to give you a proper introduction. And by the way, viewers, we've almost reached 100 subscribers for a little nifty channel. So please do subscribe and tell your friends, because we need you to subscribe, and we need more subscribers, obviously. And you are one of them. You are one of those viewers. So welcome today. Let us know in the chat where you're from. You can ask Patrick anything, right? And Patrick will
that's correct. Hopefully, I try to provide an answer, but we'll see.
And we'll see if he wants to answer, but I think he will. And but Nadine, without any further ado, could you introduce Patrick to the audience? For people who don't know you, because you're quite a celebrity in Germany, I think.
A celebrity newsroom person. Thank you, Lawrence, of course. But before I'm going to introduce Patrick, we are starting with a little bit of an intro about the show today. So what are you going to see today in this session? First of all, of course, I'm going to introduce Patrick, as we mentioned before. Afterwards, he's going to show us a tool that is very helpful for him on a daily basis. We are really looking forward to this part, of course, because it's practical and helpful for anyone working in the media industry. Afterwards, Patrick will hopefully give us a bit of advice about what journalists should stop doing, and maybe instead, to make it a bit more positive, what they should continue to do or start to do. And in the end, of course, we have our live Q&A. So as Lawrence already mentioned, if you have any kind of question, please feel free to ask Patrick today. It is a little bit like Reddit AMA style. So let's see how this is going to turn out.
We already have one viewer saying hi. It's Tim Verhaart. So hi, Tim. Great to have you.
I worked together with Tim before, so that's really interesting. All right. So let's start with the introduction, Patrick. As I mentioned before, we are going to talk about you, and you are working for Tagesschau. You are the head of social media at Tagesschau in Hamburg, Germany. And about Tagesschau, for anyone who doesn't know this news broadcast, it is the version of the 8 o'clock news in Germany, very popular, very traditional as well. So it is a television news broadcast produced by the editorial staff of ARD Aktuell on behalf of the German public service television network ARD. This was a long one. Okay, you started in your position in 2016. You are responsible for the strategic and content-related appearances on the social web. So, for example, you have a portfolio including accounts on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, as well as various messenger services. I think Facebook Messenger, for example.
That's correct.
Right. Okay, great. So this is what you've been working on the past. So a lot of delegating and trying to keep the oversight on everything. You have been working on other projects as well. For example, this innovative project called Throwback 89 for the anniversary of the fall of the Berlin Wall 2 years ago. And for this, you received the German Digital Award. I'm going to switch to the homepage that you can see up here. And as you can see, this is a diary type project where you're being led through the times by a young woman living at that time. I'm not going to start the video right here because it's probably going to be very loud, but you can click through the different slides and see how she was experiencing the time in '89 in Germany. So very interesting. Please feel free to check this project out as well. But this wasn't, of course, the only project you've been working on. This was just one thing I wanted to point out. On top, you are elected representative of ARD and ZDF in the Digital Committee of the European Broadcasting Union. And you started your career at NDR as well, so you completed your traineeship there too, just like my best friend Torben Steenbuch. So, of course, as a journalist in Germany, you know quite a few people working for NDR as well. Before we are going to be talking about the main topic of the day, which is your TikTok strategy, there are, of course, different approaches of using TikTok for a media outlet. So a few that I would like to point out just randomly. First of all, NBC Stay Tuned has a TikTok channel as well, or a TikTok account. They cover a lot of pop cultural phenomenons. So the editors are looking for trending hashtags and afterwards using those hashtags to produce content as well, looking for the latest trends online. So very interesting to use this way to be, on TikTok. The second account that you probably know is the Washington Post, who are primarily doing behind the scenes clips. They are showing how they are working in the newsroom with a very fun and entertaining approach. And one that is actually quite similar to Tagesschau, in my opinion, personally, is Le Monde from France. They are using data visualizations, short informative clips as well, and fact checks on their TikTok account to gain new followers as well and reach new audiences.
And then, Nadine, I can add nu.nl and NOS, our national public news broadcast in the Netherlands, and the province of Brabant. They all have TikTok accounts that I know of that do similar things. So in the Netherlands, quite a few too. Yeah.
Oh, of course. I mean, in Germany, there are plenty now as well. These are only a few examples, as I just said. So, for the audience, if you have a favorite TikTok account concerning media outlets, please let us know so we can learn as well from your favorites.
Put them in the chat, please.
Right. Put them in the chat. Okay. So now we are going to talk about Tagesschau on TikTok. These are a few screenshots from yesterday, actually. So yesterday you had 855,000 followers, which is, of course, a great success for you, and 20.4 million likes. 20.4 million. Insane. You started your TikTok account as an April Fool's joke in 2019. You might have to elaborate on this one, actually. And you've been so successful in the meantime that you are currently a Grimme Online Prize nominee. So congratulations on that. And
Nadine, for the viewers who don't know the Grimme Prize, what is it? What's the status of that?
It is like one of the one of the best known or most famous online prizes that is being given out in the journalism industry. Patrick, how would you describe it?
In Germany,
it's quite an honor to be nominated there, but all the more I'm very happy that we have so many people on this platform, as you said, 860,000 nearly that follow news that are on a very factual basis, and this is but we go into that a little deeper later on.
Sure.
And as you said, Nadine, I would be really happy to come in to go into a dialogue with the audiences that is here today, because I think it's the best that we could experience over the last 1.5 years is the permanent exchange to companies, to people in companies that were interested in starting accounts, because we can learn from each other. 1.5 years is still not a long time, even in digital ages. So I think it would be great to start a conversation here and listen to the examples you have, listen to the questions you have, and I'm really open to this conversation.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Thank you very much, Patrick. So my first question now. So TikTok started in 2017 outside of China. And at that time, of course, it was mainly lip syncing and dancing people on the platform. When did you realize that TikTok really had potential for media outlets like Tagesschau?
It was sometime in 2019. As you said, there was this April Fool clip we produced in April 2019, and we said, "Oh my God, look at this young audiences! The Tagesschau now has a TikTok account. Very funny, haha." And I think the most popular comment we got from our Instagram audience back then was, "Oh my God, this would be so not cool for a brand like Tagesschau to be there. You can't combine news and humor, and then TikTok. What the hell are you talking about TikTok?" So we thought, to be honest, in our editorial social media team, we thought, yeah, we're quite right, not going to this platform yet. But then things started to speed up, and there was a new dynamic that we saw. I think it was early summer 2019 when this platform became very, very popular in Germany. We had colleagues that came to our social media department and said, my young son, my young daughter is using this app on their schoolyard. Is it not interesting for the Tagesschau probably to experience what news coverage, what information coverage could look like on this platform? And then we went to our analytics department and said, can you give us more facts about this platform, or can you deliver more data? Because for us, as you can imagine, we are a public service media and we have a strong social media strategy and a strong social media department, but we don't have the resources all in all over that you would need to be present on every platform that you wish you could. Meaning we have to handle our resources and to come up with clear decisions about and analysis about the platforms we want to run accounts on. It makes a lot of work to if you really want to start an account on a platform like TikTok, especially if you are a brand like the Tagesschau. You can lose a lot, but you can at the very beginning also gain something. And I always focus on the positive part, meaning the constructive part, gaining something, learning something, even if it's not a success. So we said, okay, let's get this data. And what they showed us, what they put together for us was really impressive. A huge growth, never before. I'm doing social media now since 2013, since I started at the Tagesschau, but in my position, as you said, since 2016. However, I was looking for the platform dynamics for a long time, and never before with Facebook, be it with Instagram, be it with Twitter. I've never seen and experienced such an enormous growth in such a short time. And not only that there was this hype around TikTok, but it was a hype that seemed to last. You know, we all talked about Clubhouse last winter. Are you using Clubhouse anymore? I haven't used it in a while now. So pretty much this hype was not there to last. But TikTok was something that was there. That was sometime we saw TikTok in the Google Play Store charts. We saw TikTok in the app charts and the App Store charts. And it was there to stay. It didn't go away. So it stayed, and we said, okay, so it must be a relevant platform for many people. It becomes a relevant platform for many people. And this is the dynamic we always saw when a platform gets this big and this interesting for new audiences, that after a short time, there will be a rising demand for informational content. And this is the part where the Tagesschau said, okay, with our department, I said, together with our head of innovation, let's give it a try. Let's experiment what we want to do there. Our editor-in-chief also has a young daughter who used this app, which is a little advantage, to be honest, to convince people that are in charge of this brand if they have their own experiences with a platform that was not like the nice guy. And Nadine, you said TikTok was not all in all. It was not just the rising social media celebrity, the rising star, but it was also a platform where we saw all this talks about censorship, about people being muted for telling their opinion. So yeah, this was also another side of the argument we needed to take into decision before saying we want to launch that.
Yeah.
And may I ask, and Nadine, please stop me if you've got something else to ask, but Patrick, because I was looking into some of the clips, some of the TikTok videos, and one of them I found really interesting because there was one that's called about Anu, and which would translate to I don't have any idea how journalism is being done, right? And it was based on the Israel-Palestina conflict or war. I don't know what's the correct term to call it, but then I think it's Antje, the presenter. She goes into great lengths to tell about how reporters work and why that reporters are based there and how they go to their sources, which I could translate from my best German, I think. But it's really educating your audience as well how journalism works, right? Is that what the question that you get a lot from this audience?
Yes, we do, and especially in the Israel-Palestinian conflict, we saw that there's a need for us to explain how we work and how we gather our information. Because Lawrence, here in Germany, the discussions in the comment sections, they went crazy around this topic. There were these filter bubbles. There were these two communities that hit each other. The Israeli side that fought against or that tried to frame the discussions in their ways. And then there was a huge bubble, especially on TikTok, saying, oh my God, you're not neutral, Tagesschau. You're always telling us that it's the Hamas that fights Israel. So please tell the truth. And we said, okay, this is something we need to explain, especially to the younger audiences, how journalism works. So we took the comments as a starting point for our research and said, okay, what can we do with it? And there's a lot of media lack of media literacy on this platform. So we said we need to explain these young audiences how we work, how we produce in a way our TikTok clip to make them more familiar with journalism at all.
Yeah, with the way that you're working. Very interesting topic, but maybe Patrick, I know you've prepared a few slides for us. Maybe you can give us a bit of an overview about your TikTok account so that we can dive right in with the specific questions a bit later as well.
Shall I?
For sure, Nadine. Please, because I can't see you anymore now. Could you give me a sign if you can see my presentation?
Looks wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay. And I called this little unboxing here or this little presentation 8:15 p.m. Why 8:15? Because our traditional news show at night ends at 8:15, and this is the time where digital hits our traditional brand. And I think that the transformation issue is something that is the more meta background to this TikTok discussion, transforming a traditional brand like the Tagesschau. Nadine, you gave some insights right at the beginning. The TV news brand since 1952 that still has an audience, a rising audience in Corona pandemic times, of more than 10 million viewers every night. But the brand core is to be fact-based, to be to explain the news in a very unexcited way, and to be very much into the research, data, and factual bases, as it's our public service mandate to inform the people, to enable them for this political decision making, which still is the core of our transformation strategy. And is, as you know, the Tagesschau did not come up with a new brand on TikTok, but it is the Tagesschau, and this means we need to transport this core that I try to give you here right at the beginning. And I show a short clip for those of you who are not familiar with the cultural heritage of the Tagesschau, some insights into our brand here. Innovation for a long time meant innovation of the TV department, which was like the brand at all. And look at this innovating Tagesschau in earlier days.
Hier ist das deutsche Fernsehen mit der Tagesschau.
Hier ist das erste deutsche Fernsehen mit der Tagesschau.
Laboratorien und Forschungszentren.
Die Entgiftungsarbeiten in Seveso sind unterdessen...
Guten Abend, meine Damen und Herren, und willkommen zu Tagesthemen.
Guten Abend, meine Damen und Herren.
Hier ist das erste deutsche Fernsehen mit der Tagesschau. Heute im Studio Jan Hofer.
So Nadine and Lawrence, you see no presentation here without the gong, the traditional gong. And this was our chief speaker, Jan Hofer here, who left us now at the end of last year. I show you this image because this is the first TikTok clip that we produced when we launched our account in November 2019. And you see this very, I'd say, Lawrence, you said, well, Patrick, you are well known in Germany and probably for social media. Some people know me here in Germany, some don't. But Jan Hofer is definitely a celebrity. He's definitely a VIP. So we took this news anchor and we transformed him to TikTok for our first clip, and it looked like this.
That's my type. That's my type. That's my type. 8-inch bagel. That's the type. I'm running all night.
And the young pupils, they applauded, and they gave him immediately after his appearance on this platform a hashtag Ehrenjan. They called him. Jan Hofer is his name, and Ehrenjan means Jan of honor, man of honor in a way. Yeah. So he has this nickname. He got this nickname immediately on TikTok, and people loved him. Every time he popped up at this platform with some clips, he got more and more reputation, even among the very young of our audiences.
And so, how does he feel about that? About this Ehrenjan?
Jan felt very good with this because you know Jan was this news presenter. He was a very classy gentleman, doing news and serious. Exactly. This is what people said. It's probably the most trustable person in German television. If he tells the news, if Jan tells the news, this is the news, this man can explain you if the world is still okay every night at 8 o'clock. And now he went on this platform, and it was part of our strategy that we rolled out when we started the account. And for every account we have in social media, we have this news plus X strategy. News is this brand core. As I said, this is what we stand for, what the brand stands for. When we say Tagesschau remains Tagesschau, doesn't create a new brand. Nadin, you worked for the young brand of Spiegel, Bento. We just have the Tagesschau, and this means we transform this image on the one hand, but we also keep the core of it. This is the news section, meaning we explain people the news. Of course, we have something called a target group relevance. We look for the topics that young people are interested in, the questions they pose about topics, and we try to explain it, of course, in a very modern way of storytelling. Young, new presenters and a visual, attractive, fast pace. And for example, we have this clear focus on news on TikTok as well. Here, our presenter, Felix, he explains us about the Ever Given, the ship that blocked the Suez Canal, and look at what the storytelling looks like for those of you who don't follow the account yet or who have not seen a video of Tagesschau on TikTok.
Deshalb könnten manche Produkte für dich im April nicht verfügbar sein. Das Schiff Ever Given steckte jetzt eine Woche im Suezkanal fest. Etwa 400 andere Schiffe standen deswegen im Stau. Aber warum ist das so ein großes Ding? Der Suezkanal ist für Schiffe der kürzeste Weg, um von Asien nach Europa zu kommen. Zum Beispiel um Smartphones, Fernseher oder Kopfhörer nach Deutschland zu bringen. Sonst müssten die Schiffe einmal um ganz Afrika fahren und wären etwa eine Woche länger unterwegs. Die Ever Given ist zwar inzwischen frei, es kann aber noch Tage dauern, bis sich der Megastau auflöst und das sorgt für Verspätungen.
So we took a very practical perspective, a perspective that is close to the daily life of young people. They were wondering, where is my new computer, my new MacBook that I bought? Where is my PS5, you know? And we explained them why this blockade of the Suez Canal is also affecting their lives. And if you look at the figures here, I for this presentation, for this unboxing, I took a video which is not a high performer. It's more average, you know, because I want to make you guys familiar with the real authentic perspective on the figures. And 300,000 views is still something which I consider as a lot, meaning there are 300,000 young kids mainly between the age of 13 and 17 on our platform that watch this video, and the view time, the watch duration is around 70 to 80%, meaning 80% of this 300,000 young people watch this video from second 1 to second 35. And this is something which I think is really valuable if it comes to news. And there's another... Yeah.
Can you explain this video and then the new one you're going to present, what the X is? Because you say it's news plus X, right? So for the explainer video, what would be the X?
Well, the X is not for the explainer videos. This is like the world part. Okay. This is the news part. Lawrence, it's an interesting question because when you start on a platform like TikTok with all this lip sync videos, with all this creativity, you have to ask yourself, do you mix those parts? And we said, no, news is news, and we don't dance our news, we don't lip sync our news, we just tell the news, which was part of the strategy as well. So let me show you another quick explainer video, which very successfully got 2 million views here, and look at the share rate, 30,000 shares. It was about the comet Neowise that we saw last summer.
Das da ist ein 5 Kilometer großer Brocken aus Staub und Eis auf seinem Weg durchs All. Das ist der Komet Neowise. Wir können ihn gerade ausnahmsweise sehen, jetzt und dann erst wieder im Jahr 8845. Neowise steht gerade besonders nah an der Sonne.
So in a way, Lawrence, I'd consider this as kind of classical news business in a way. We tell it 9 to 16, of course, in a 9 to 16 format, vertical, that needs to be vertical on TikTok. But we have this young presenter, Antje and Anna. We casted them and Felix straight out of their traineeship, very young journalists working for the Tagesschau on a very down to earth way of communicating, meaning we take questions from our audiences and we explain them, and we try to answer them in our videos.
And can you tell us a bit about the aesthetic? Because I think you use green screen, and then you even do a sort of do it yourself from home, from your living room green screen.
Exactly.
Is that aesthetic, or did you choose to do this way? And I can imagine, how does the old graphic department feel about this, and the branding department?
Yeah. Well, the green screen kind of producing was, of course, not the first decision we had. It was something that we needed to come up with on a very pragmatical basis when Corona hit us, and every one of us was asked to work from home, and we said, oh my God, how shall we create video workflows, digital video workflows? And then we had these green carpets that we sent out, the Tagesschau TikTok kit, we called it. We sent it out to our presenters and asked them to put it up. So, we have we have something where we put our lights up usually, and this holds now the green screen carpet. So it looks very pragmatic. Let's put it positive. You could say it's not very professional on the one hand, but on the other hand, I think what Corona and the pandemic taught us is to be pragmatic is also some kind of innovation, I'd say, and that we are at least able to produce these videos on a daily basis is something that I'm quite proud of, to be honest, because I think it's a great teamwork behind it. Anna, Antje, and Felix, the presenter you saw, they produced the video in their own living rooms, and then they sent the file to a motion designer who works together with them in a team, all virtually in doing communications over Slack, over Zoom, and they talk to each other, and then they send the storyboard to them, they send the files to each other. So it's a really tough workflow on the one hand, but on the other hand, it works. And this is something we need to focus more on our results, on our products, not the way how we get these results, how we get the clips. Doesn't matter that much, to be honest. I'm happy if the result is.
There is a question from one of our viewers. Nadine, can we go into that, or do you have another question?
Yeah, sure. It's from Felicitas. Thank you very much for joining us. So Felicitas asks, Patrick, how do you find the balance between entertaining content like challenges, trending songs, and information, and when do you jump on trends and when do you not jump on trends?
Yeah,
and there's another question after that. So
it's really a tough decision we need to take here, because we know that, and to be very transparent and honest to you, the entertaining content is always the overperforming content, and the news content is sometimes overperforming, but usually doing or getting average results in terms of KPIs, in terms of views, shares. So every time we have a really viral clip on TikTok, it comes more often from the fun part of this strategy than from the news part. However, this is not something I really mind, because I think I'm showing you the unboxing of the fun section in a minute, but I think that the fun section is a good way of communicating in a very TikTok style, and getting into the news streams, into the For You feeds on TikTok of young people, with our brand Tagesschau. And this is the first time most of them hear from the brand Tagesschau and see our brand very prominent in their news feeds. And what we learn from our audiences is that they have this effect. Oh, this is interesting. What is this brand all about? What is it? And they get in touch with us, and they look on our account page, and there they find the other videos, and some of them click on follow, some of them use the other videos. So I consider the fun part as an entrance gate, in a way, for presenting people news on the one hand, and making our brand lose this little dusty image, in a way, that we have from the very clinical high professional news show we have every night at 8 o'clock with a gong.
So you see it as a sort of acquisition content as well, because what I've learned from the TikTok algorithm that obviously when they like it, you tend to get more into their feeds, and also if you said that they finish into mostly 70% of the video, and I think the longer you watch a certain video, the more you get offered similar content, right? The recommendations that are based on the.
Yeah. Definitely, and but it's always harder for us, and because we have routine in producing news content. Of course, the storytelling is challenging. Of course, the motion design is challenging. But we are all journalists. We are all news journalists. Everyone that works in my department is a news journalist. It's
Speaking
not.
Of which, there's another question from.
Great idea.
From Felicitas, and I hope we've answered your first, I think, 2 questions. And if the question is, you have such cool animated videos, so that's a compliment to you and your team. How many people work only for TikTok in your newsroom, and how much time does one clip take from creation to posting?
Yeah, to answer the last question first, we have it takes 1 to 2 days from the very beginning of a research, of coming up with a topic, of discussing which part of the topic we want to start with, which might be interesting for the audiences, till the posting. It takes 1 to 2 days, to be honest. This is because of the home office situation on the one hand, but it's also because of the very hard or the very aesthetic style that you just asked in your question. This is the other part, like, of not having selfie videos, is that there is a motion designer who produces the clip, and you need to time pretty much every second of the video when our presenter is in her home office and she swipes her hand. The motion designer has to do something with it. So it's very.
So how many clips do you make each week?
A week, it's usually it's three clips a week, I'd say, on average. And there are per day there are 2 editors working for TikTok clip production, 1 editor and 1 presenter. They are a duo, a journalistic duo, and then there's the motion designer who works together with them in a TikTok team. However, so it's 3 people. However, we have a very integrated department, meaning that this team is part of the big department, and there's also an exchange about topics, of course. We don't want to produce the same content, the same topic for every platform all over again. We want to, we use modular content. We use the same animations, for example, for the videos we produce on TikTok, and then we later use on Instagram.
Okay, but to be as specific as possible,
I hope, Felicitas, that that Patrick answered your question well. And if you do have any more questions, or other viewers, please do put them in the chat. Patrick, you said you had another video for us to show.
Yes. Now I'm switching to the fun section here in my presentation, and I'll show you what we came up with, because Lawrence and Nadine. The fun section, still, for a brand that is known for reliable news, is always something like a walk on the edge. It's you can do a lot of things wrong, as I said at the very beginning. So what did we come up with? We said we don't want to just make stupid fun, but we want to play with our image. As I said, we want to give behind the scenes inside. For example, participate in challenges. I'll show you in a minute a video where we participated in a yes or no challenge and answered questions of our audiences that way. And however, the main challenge is to not be cringy and to not break with the roles, for example, of Jan Hofer, when he sits there in the studio after the gong and presents the news this day or the next day. So he has to have this very serious role on the one hand, and then also be kind of funny on the other hand, which is a walk on the edge. So this is the challenge where our another news anchor, Judith Rakers, answers questions. For example, if I translate it now to English, if the German Chancellor Angela Merkel calls and tells us what to tell in the news, look at this.
Yeah. No. Yeah. No.
So this is a way we found here, which is interesting. We had these questions about when do you participate in challenges. Whenever we find a way of participating in this challenge that fits this fun strategy. Another thing was this clip from the UK where the news presenters dance in the studio, not doing news, but they just dance. And our audiences, they kind of challenged us. They said, oh, Tagesschau could never, ever do this. And then we said, okay, let's ask our presenters if they would do it. And Jens Riewer and Karen Mioska, who are quite familiar here in Germany, they said, of course. And look at the views, Lawrence and Nadine. This is what I told you. These are very viral clips on the platform itself. I'm in a very lucky position that most of our traditional news show presenters, we don't have to convince them. They are very open-minded and come to us, come to our desk with their ideas, with their openness to actually do those things. This is something that is very in the focus. It helps us a lot to not to have a very, how should I put it, a very open-minded presenter team, even in our daily news show. And one last clip. I don't want to bore you with this, so I just have this last slide.
No, it's very nice to see all these different examples and how they work for you and what you did. So it's really, really cool to see and to know. Yeah.
There is this myth also around our brand, a myth that pretty much every brand, I'd say, that is famous has, that people put their own thoughts in this brand, and they ask themselves, what does it have to feel like to be a news presenter? Can I do it myself? How does it work? How do the news get to the get aired every night? What is behind it? And there are so many questions and myths around our show, around our speakers, and so we challenge them now in a very gamification style. So we said, okay, let's try. Do you want to become a news presenter? Let's try to do the job of our news presenter. And we give them news that our presenter here, Ingo Zamparoni, actually read in his news bulletin the day before. And look at this.
Seid ihr bereit für den Prompter-Test? Mal sehen, wer es fehlerfrei hinkriegt. Wer lesen kann, ist klar im Vorteil.
And this is now from his show.
Guten Abend. Und wieder richten sich die Blicke gespannt nach Amsterdam zum Sitz der Europäischen Arzneimittelbehörde. Bis Donnerstag will haben, ob da mehr ist als nur ein zeitlicher Zusammenhang.
And you see that this clip got from this girl, it got 670,000 views. And I'm sorry, one last slide because it might be interesting for some of you.
Yeah.
The age of the audiences. We flipped the pyramid in social media terms. Our audiences in linear broadcasts like TV are getting older and older, typical for TV, I'd say, for most of the TV shows and traditional television. And even on our homepage and on our app, the average audience is around 40. For social media, as you see here now on TikTok, the largest group of our 860,000 followers is 13 to 17 years old. And I think, Lawrence and Nadine, this is something I'm really proud of, that we find ways of communicating to these very young school kids and telling them about their surrounding, about the world they live in. And this is something that I work for from my heart, to be honest. This is why I became a journalist, because I want to attract people. I want to interest them into news. So that's it.
When I look at these numbers, it seems like they're sort of neatly distributed, but it says largest group of followers. So there is obviously some messy edges, obviously. But yeah.
So, yeah, definitely. I mean, I think on TikTok, you are reaching a lot of female followers as well. And in contrast to the news broadcast that a lot of male people are watching, actually, which is probably very helpful for you too, for Tagesschau to gain a new.
It's something, Nadine, very, very interesting point. I think it's something for a very modern way of journalism to reach young audiences, to reach female audiences, to reach diverse audiences. This is something that social media I see social platforms, especially those who reach very young people like TikTok, as a chance for us to rethink the way of how we do journalism, to rethink and to communicate directly to the audiences and ask them for their need. We see that for the younger audiences, for the female audience, it makes a difference in the way we choose our interview partners. It makes a difference if the interview partner is an old guy that we always talk to when it comes to politics, or if it's a new face, a young face, a female expert that we can talk to and that the audiences can ask their questions to, and it makes a real difference. And this is the external side of the argument. If I may also give you an internal side of this argument, I think it's also something in the way for our organization itself that changes. We are not only trying to be more diverse, to talk about language, about the change of language in terms of there's this special thing in German language, colleagues in a male way, or talking about colleagues in a female way, and this gender language is also something that is of importance for them, and we know this because we listen to them. But it's the one hand to communicate this way. It's the other hand to put this also into internal structures. And what we also work very hard upon, I can tell you, is that we cast very young journalists, a lot of female journalists after their traineeship, and try to get them into the Tagesschau organization. And the social media department is a good place for many of them. That's what they tell us, to start their career and to get their feet into a news organization. And I'm very proud of that. My staff is half, is male and female. This is also, Nadin, not only an argument for the audience approach of journalism, but also for the recruitment process of journalism that becomes very important for us as well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, newsrooms have to get more diverse, definitely. And it's great that you already have this on your mind when choosing hosts, for example. So you've been talking about exchange with your audience on TikTok, and I would like to know, how do you know what people like and what they don't like? Do they tell you that they like that an interview partner is female, for example, or how do you go on with this?
Yes, well, two things. We listen to the comments that we get after we post the video. Our team of presenters, they themselves listen and follow the comments that we get, and they see what people ask, what their questions are, what they if there are other topics that they miss in our coverage. And this is something that is really important for the way we choose topics. And on the other hand, of course, as you can imagine, we also have research about the topics that reach many audiences in terms of reach, in terms of interactions. And we see, Nadine and Lawrence, that there are topics, it's no surprise, I'd say, for you and for all of us, that, for example, topics like climate change, like the society itself, gender balance, are big discussion topics for the generations Z, for the generations Y. And these are also the topics that, if we find ways of covering those topics, new ways, important ways, constructive ways, these are the most of the time topics that get a high reach, and people really like the Tagesschau for that. They put a focus on these topics.
Could you give an example of? Did you just show us an example about maybe a TikTok clip, for example, that was sort of based on this audience engagement research?
Well, it is, for example, you saw the one about the Israeli and Palestinian conflict. Yeah. This was something where we took the comments, but there are others. For example, the Corona pandemic. This is a huge topic for journalists to cover. And from our comments, we know that people had so many questions about schools in Germany. When do schools reopen? How do the federal states organize school education in home offices, homeschooling. There were questions about the final exams that people posted, and we found these angles very important and always put the focus in our Corona coverage on TikTok on these certain aspects.
Yeah. You could tell in the Netherlands as well. I saw on Google Trends when people had to homeschool again, that a lot of questions were, what does a verb mean, or an adjective, or how do you measure the square root and stuff like that. So you could see that people were really looking into these kinds of topics as well, just for homeschooling. But I can imagine that, especially with the pandemic, there are so many typical questions related to what's happening in people's lives, and that you chose to make these, or to answer these kind of questions within, not just on TikTok. I can imagine do that on Instagram and other platforms as well.
Yes, but in comparison to Instagram and Facebook, it was with TikTok that we, how should I put it, the digital transformation, they taught us certain learnings. We learned from having not really put a focus on community work back in the early days of social media, meaning 2012, 2013, we focused on our news coverage more than we focused on the input we get from the audiences. 2021 or 2019, when we started TikTok, is a completely different world, in the social world. So we learned that community work is something that you need to balance with your news coverage. So for us, it's more important to really have a focus on community work than putting 3 clips a day, but really listening to the audiences. And this is something, Lawrence, when you have audience engagement, we get 30,000 comments now every day on all platforms. You can't really, when you miss to jump on this train, and you have millions of subscribers one day, we built up a communication department within the social media, a community department within the social media department. However, I can put 10, 20, 30 people on this. It will never be enough to actually get a real one-to-one engagement with our Instagram audience. When we started TikTok at 0.0, we were able to implement this as part of the strategy. And this is what makes a difference, I'd say.
Yeah. So that's maybe one piece of advice, to start to use the audience engagement, to comments, and to get them in the loop from day 0, you'd say, right? There are 2 other questions, so let's take them, and then maybe we could end with your advice. But first, let's go to Nadine. Is that okay if we go?
Yeah, sure.
Tim has a question, and Nadine, could you be so kind?
Yeah, sure. So Tim is asking, do you mainly work with presenters, and did you also try graphic explainers? And is there a special format your audience prefers?
So 3 questions, Tim.
Yes. So no, I can answer it quite straight. No, we don't have graphic explainers only. We always present our news with our presenters. This is part of the strategy when we experimented in our project phase before we launched the account. We saw that people on the platform itself looked for this eye-to-eye contact, this influencer style, and so we said we want to apply this. However, we want, as you could see in the unboxing part, we didn't want to miss the graphic design, the motion design. We combined it, and it's the first time that we in the social media department experimented with really in vertical style, explaining and presenting in one video. We took those 2 layers together, and we made quite good experiences with this. The audiences, is there a format that the audiences prefers? I'd say the audiences prefers the mixture of both the news and the fun side, because often, most of the times, we surprise them really with the fun videos. It's always a surprise, and news plus a little surprise, I'd say, is a strategy that works for our brand really well.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I hope you've answered Tim's question. I think you did, but let's hear it from Tim, and then Felicitas again. Do the presenters themselves do the community management on TikTok, and how is the overall tone?
Yes, they do, and they are also supported, of course, by our community management department and by other editors in our team when they need help in a way. But it's part of the working process of Anna, Antje, and Felix, our presenters, that they want to see what the topics are that they need to cover, and it's their own journalistical preferences to have their own look on the comments. The overall tone is it's getting rougher. It was very friendly in the first months and the first year, but now as the success grows, as TikTok becomes even more popular platform, we see what we also saw on Instagram back in the early days, when it was a very nice community, aesthetical community, photo community. It changed to a mainstream platform, and this change is something that we experience on TikTok as well. The tone gets rougher, especially when it comes to this Middle East conflict, for example. There are also the two poles of the filter bubbles in a way. However, I'd say the interesting part as a learning for all of you might be that the topics that the audiences there are not so educated than they are on other platforms, meaning you reach different people. You reach people that don't know the basic facts about any conflict in the world. You need
like the Berlin Wall in 1989.
Exactly. Yeah. You need to explain them things on a very down-to-earth level as well. But this is a challenge for us in a way, but it helps us, I'd say, also for our journalistic approach to get better in the other outlets we have.
Yeah.
Breaking it down to the core, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I think, Nadine, we have to go to the last segment of the show, and obviously
me too. I still have a million questions. I think we have to do part 2 someday.
We have part 2 one day. Yeah.
There's a little banner, and it says "Stop it, journalist," but we turn it around, right, and we say, "Could you give us some advice?" And I know because during our sort of preparation talk, you said everyone asks me, "What's the recipe to do TikTok right?" And you said there's no recipe. So, dear viewer, there is no recipe. But I'm wondering what kind of advice you do have. So please.
I'm really have one advice: to not oversize the risks of a project, but more focus on the chances you get by doing new stuff. It's something, if we had really taken the risks to go on a platform like TikTok, on a Chinese platform like TikTok, if we've seen all these challenges, you would have never started a TikTok account, and the Tagesschau would probably not be there today. At least not with 860,000 followers, as a strong news brand, and fake news and all this stuff would be on a different level, I'd say, on the platform, at least for the German audiences. So more focus on the constructive sides, more focus on the little innovations, instead of making innovation become such a big bubble that no one ever will reach. It's something I see many journalists still focusing on risks and on risk management, which is important, of course, to see the risk, but you should never it has to keep a balance with the chances, and experimenting and getting this freedom to experiment within your own organizational structure is a worth it itself.
And it doesn't need to be that polished or waxed and sort of beautifully crafted to experiment with it, right? Yeah,
exactly. It can be unfinished, and of course, being experimental can mean to not be successful, but at least you tried something. And this is a change that many managers need still to implement in their organizations, I think, to giving people the capacity and the ability to empower them in introducing projects and change to the company.
But then maybe a question: how did you get Jan Hofer to appear on TikTok? His very first video. Did you have to persuade him with a lot of
Not at all, Jan. I told you earlier in this talk that Jan is a very classical gentleman. What many people don't know about him is that he is also a very technical nerd. He is all into this drone stuff, into new things. He comes to work, or he came to work with a scooter, with an e-scooter. This is a side of Jan Hofer not many people know or knew. So, but this is something that made us able to actually ask him to be part of the first TikTok clip. And he said, yes, and what's the next? What can we do next? And he came up with ideas and challenged our team with ideas. And you need someone, I'd say, as an advice in your company that can take this role, that is enthusiastic about experimenting, enthusiastic about projects.
So who appeals to, say, the sort of legacy, more traditional part of the team, and that can make that sort of transition to these new uncharted territories as well.
Exactly.
That's great.
I think one of the most important things to know about TikTok as well is that it doesn't really have to be polished. You know, that's the beauty of TikTok at the moment, at least. It's not like Instagram, very focused on aesthetics. It's more about getting content out. So you see a lot of people wearing their hoodies and joggers instead of, you know, being fully equipped in great clothes, etc. So it's really raw, and I think that's something that you can still, you know, use for your news reporting as well. And as you just said, I think the motto should be just do it.
Exactly. And I think, I showed you a very typical style here for the Tagesschau. And this is not something every brand has to adapt. I think it's the freedom, if you move as an early or first adopter to a new platform, to experiment, to create your own style. And yes, a selfie aesthetics can work. And other influencers on the German market show you that it doesn't need to be a very visual, attractive storytelling. This is the brand fit for the Tagesschau that I showed you. But for your brands, it might look completely different, and try it. And the Washington Post, Nadine, as you showed in your little introduction, has a completely different approach to it, which also works. They have also nearly 1 million followers by now, and it's something that can also work. So you need the freedom to just try and see where your organization goes.
So finding your own niche, right?
Patrick, it has been a great pleasure to talk to you and to have you show all these results and share all these experience about your strategy, not just on TikTok, but also on the other channels, and what you should do or cannot do. And I think you gave some great pieces of advice about experimenting and not doing it well crafted, and try and make mistakes. And well, we've crossed the 1 hour mark. So I think we should thank our viewers, first and foremost, for asking these intelligible questions, obviously.
Thank you so much.
And thank you for answering those as well, Patrick.
And if there are more questions from the users, they can, of course, reach out to you, Nadine and Lawrence, and you can...
can they find you personally on TikTok as well?
I think, well, I think the main, for me, it's the exchange to pretty much all businesses, even outside the media spheres, is what we can learn something from each other. And I really mean it like this. Be open to talk to colleagues, be open to get into the dialogue about your ideas about TikTok, and we can all help each other to get strong brands on TikTok.
Well, and you showed. So thank you very much. And for our audience, don't forget to subscribe, and see you next month. And we'll let you know who will be our next guest. Thank you once again, Patrick.
Thank you, and bye.
Thank you. Have a great day. Bye.
Bye.
Yay.